So welcome to another episode of Blown Turbos. We're doing something a bit different this time. We're going to talk about insurance because it's a big issue for drivers our age.
In the UK at least.
In the UK definitely. I'm not sure about abroad.
Well, gathered from folk I know online that is a problem abroad as well, but it's not as bad sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my insurance in my first year was pretty expensive, and my car's a Fabia Comfort 1.48 valve, so it's Insurance Group 7, which is it's pretty low insurance group. But then my insurance for an 18-year-old with no experience, no claims bonus, was 2,100, which it sounds like a lot, but it's pretty good for someone my age.
That's below average for a starter car, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for Corsa, Fiesta, stuff like that, you would be paying about 2,500, something like that.
Aye.
So that's not bad. And I mean, my second year so I was 19 and 1 year's no claims, and changing to a different company, it went down to about £700.
Aye.
So that's a pretty big saving just from having 1 year's no claims.
Aye.
But I mean, yours was a lot cheaper in the first year.
Mine's an odd one because, my no claim started about 6 months ago when I first got insured on a car. So I was 19, and you'd think it would be quite a bit still, but no, I got my Clio, so 1.28 valve Authentique, which, hopefully you've seen the video for that. That I got for £950 fully comp, courtesy car included, which is nuts for my age.
That's really good for the first year.
The snag is my excess is about £900 or £700 or so.
My excess is more than that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Gee.
Because I did voluntary excess of about 500.
Aye.
And then voluntary excess of about 500, and then they add on things like, because I'm under 21, they add an extra £250, and then it's like non-approved garage repairs, which I'm with Aviva, and I don't think there's any approved garages in the northeast of Scotland. So that's an issue. So they add like an extra £150 onto that.
For long distance or whatever.
No, if you want to get it repaired at a garage of your choice, you have to pay them an extra £150 in excess.
Aye.
So that's what, 500, 750, so that's the same.
Aye.
Okay, so it's still a lot though.
Yeah.
But I mean, I paid £900 for this car, so if I have to pay £900 in excess, then the car's a write-off.
Aye.
Yeah. Because there's no point. I would pay the same amount for getting a new car. So any accident I have where I have to pay the excess, and the car's a write-off.
It's the same with pretty much everyone our age, sort of thing. Particularly if you're 17, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I know a few folk who they've gone off-road in their car, and by that I mean went around a corner, didn't expect it, went into a field, sort of thing.
Yeah.
They were fine. The car was they could have claimed for insurance, but they didn't tell the insurance because they didn't damage anyone else's cars. So they just said, "Oh, I'm changing the policy onto a new car," so they didn't get penalised. Yet a lot of folk, if you say to them, "Oh, I went off, it was all my own fault, no one's hurt," they'll go, "Oh, okay
your
then."
Insurance goes up.
Yeah, they'll put your no claims, take away your no claims, plus say, "Oh, well, you're bound to do that again."
Yeah.
So they just it's crazy.
So because of the issue of insurance, we came up with a few kind of tips to help get your insurance price down. And the first one is very important.
Yeah. Don't lie about your car or what you're doing.
Yes. If you're lying about your insurance,
it's instantly invalid.
Yeah, I mean, if you lie about what car you've got or anything to do with your car, your worst problem is not going to be the price of your insurance anymore.
Yeah.
If you get your insurance invalidated, then you're driving around illegally, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's worse because if you have an accident and then find out that your insurance is valid after that, then the police can charge you for driving without insurance.
Yeah. Also, not just about the car sort of thing, you know, is also if you say on your insurance, some policies say you won't drive between like 10 and 6, sorry, that's 10 p.m. to
10
6
p.m.
a.m.
6 a.m. Yeah.
If you're caught driving between those hours, you get, you know, that's class as breaking your policy, invalidated,
yeah, you
blah
can't
blah sort of thing.
They wouldn't invalidate your policy for that, but if you
Some
have,
of them you can, I think, if it's explicitly says.
yeah.
But
the thing about that is, I mean, you can get exceptions, obviously,
yeah,
to driving in those hours. But yeah, don't lie. As much as it is tempting to say if you've got Ford Focus ST and you realise your insurance is really expensive, don't lie and say, oh, I've got a Ford Focus and it's got the smallest petrol engine, because if they find out, you are screwed. It's worse than having more expensive insurance.
Another thing is the best cars to get are probably small petrol engined cars, so stuff like your Clios, your Fabias, your
Fiestas,
Corsas,
Ford Ka's a very low insurance group as well.
Polos as well, I believe.
Polos are quite low as well.
But there are a few exceptions. Sorry, there are a few exceptions to this rule, which I believe there's the 2001 Vauxhall Astra 1.6, which you can get cheap insurance on, but it's got to be the 8-valve model, but don't hold me to that.
Right, okay.
So there are sort of ways around it.
Yeah, but basically get a small hatchback with a petrol engine, a small petrol engine, because the issue with diesel is because they're more expensive, if you write it off, then it means the insurance company's got to pay you more to buy another one. So that's why petrols are cheaper for insurance.
Another thing to keep in mind is some cars have got certain images to go with them, like for example in the video about the Fabia, we mentioned about how it's mostly old folk, but some cars, like, I'm not, you know, generalising here, but it's generally first cars or Corsas and Fiestas sort of thing, they get a sort of bad image.
They get a reputation.
Like Peugeot 106s, I'll use this as an example. I know someone who had a Rover 25 1.1, his insurance was 1,100 was that.
Yeah.
He got a 106 after that, a 1.1 again. His insurance went up £200.
Yeah.
Because it was a 106.
Just 'cause it's a Peugeot 106.
Whether that's because it had the image it got when there was all these boy racers and that going about in the early 2000s, or if it's because it's just an unsafe car when compared to the 25, but that's another thing.
Well, I mean, a really kind of obvious one from the UK is the Nissan Skyline.
Yeah.
Pretty much a lot of insurance companies in the mid-2000s, they hear the name Skyline and they just wouldn't give you a policy.
Even now it's hard to get. They're a lot more lenient, but it's partly because they're all imports. It's a popular car for sporting about it. Same with Imprezas and Evos. You know, if you're under 21, don't bother pretty much.
That would be a nightmare.
Particularly on the turbo model Imprezas.
I mean, there are companies now that provide specific policies for the Skyline, for the Evos and Imprezas, because they know that not all the drivers who drive them are idiots, and just because you've got an Evo or a Skyline or an Impreza doesn't mean you're going to be an unsafe driver.
We are just generalising with these cars though, but they are tend to be the ones that have got higher insurance, of course. But another thing you can do is to get lower quotes is, if once you've passed your test, you could do the sort of Pass Plus courses as well, and the advanced driving, I believe the other one is. Yes. They put your price down a bit as well, up to a few £100, I believe.
I mean, the Pass Plus thing is meant to lower your insurance by a third. But not all insurance companies
hold up to that.
Yeah, you would need to check with the insurance company first before you go away and do it. But it's meant to be up to a third. And I mean, the Pass Plus is quite easy. You go with a driving instructor, and I mean, it can be in your own car, and you basically, it's like 6 modules. You do towns, country roads, motorways, blanking on the rest of them.
You do your general sort of
You do,
sort of,
you do 6
your
different
driving
types of
test
driving. You get
again,
like
in a way,
adverse weather conditions, and there's 2 more. I'll put it in the video. I can't remember them all. Well, no, it's better than your driving test, because in your driving test you're not allowed to go on a motorway because you're still classed as a learner.
But in our case, the nearest motorway is 100 miles away.
Yes, but no, I mean, I was speaking to my driving instructor, and he said if I wanted to do it, then you drive down to Edinburgh and get the motorway between Edinburgh and Glasgow, and that's how you get the motorway module. But yeah, it's like, I mean, I think you still get it if you do 4 out of the 6 modules.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to go far, then you can still get the full thing. And it's meant to cut your insurance by a third, but it's not always the case. Usually it's the more kind of reputable and well-known companies that will give you more of a discount. But it's not always the case. And I mean, the advanced driving course, I'm not sure how much it's meant to discount your insurance by, but I imagine it'll be roughly the same. Another thing you can do, I didn't know this until recently, is the skid pan training.
Does that count towards it?
Apparently it does.
So long as it's like a certified...
Yeah, I would check beforehand that it does actually count, in case you're doing it just for insurance purposes. But I mean, I've been told it is a good fun day out sort of thing. I mean, if you don't know what it is, it's like you put kind of like 4 caster wheels on the car, and basically when
the car's a trolley, pretty much.
And then when the person beside you presses the button, they lift the car up, and so the tires lose grip, and you spin, and it's like driving on ice. But apparently that does help with your insurance, doing something like that, because it shows you how dangerous it is to drive on ice. As 5th gear is now somewhere back there.
I thought it was on Channel 5.
Haha! No, it's on Discovery now.
Is it? Oh, okay. That's why I haven't watched it. And also, for getting your insurance, we've all, we all go on, let's say, Go Compare, Confused.com, compare the market, and Meerkat as well, if you're looking for a Meerkat, I suppose. But they're good for, I'd say, an average price.
Yeah.
If you want the best insurance, call them up directly and just say, I want this. Some insurance companies only do direct.
Direct Line is the most obvious one, obviously.
But also, you can
Aviva is another one that only does it directly.
You can also go and call folk. I believe Swinton is the one. You call them, say their thing, and they will find you a policy for you. They'll go through a heap of them and get you the best ones to suit you, sort of thing. Which is how I ended up with mine. We did that and got my policy on Ambrel. Yes, speaking of Ambrel, actually, we're not endorsed by anyone to say these sort of things, so don't think this for a second. I'm just saying it because I want other folk to get good savings and that. And multi-car policies, they seem to be a good way to get your price down. Because me, for example, I'm on a multi-car policy. I'm the policy holder. Yeah, at the moment, there's only my car on the policy. But
that seems kind of backward and the wrong way around, but at
the time though, we did have my dad's, Saab was on that policy as well as his car, but I was the overall policy holder, but I wasn't insured on that car, which does seem a bit weird, but if it gets you cheaper insurance, inquire about it.
That is another thing that helps your insurance, is if you've got a parent who's got a lot of experience, put them on it as a named driver.
Although, try not to put a parent on who's got points on their licence.
Yes, that'll put it up, actually.
Even if it's just a speeding ticket, it still puts it up, because they might think, what if they do it again?
Yeah, exactly.
But oddly, if you put 2 parents on, and one of them's got points on, I know this, one of my mates in college was saying, his insurance, he tried it with just his mum, it was one price, tried it with just his dad, another price, tried it with both of them on, it dropped even more. So
one of the cheapest ways to get insurance now, which to be honest I find it a little worrying, is these so-called black box policies. Basically they put a GPS tracker and accelerometers and sensors and all things like that, and they basically track.
It's sort of
how
like
you're
a
driving.
tachograph. If you're familiar with them, it's a system used in trucks and commercial vehicles to know how and what you're driving like, sort of thing. By the black boxes, you can monitor them online as well, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can get rebates because you're driving good, but other times, let's be honest and say, if you're young, you like cars, you want to do a bit of spirited driving, and the last thing you want your insurance company going, why were you driving on, like this road doing this sort of thing? You entered a corner slightly faster than we'd recommend. We're, quitting your policy.
Yeah,
that's
or
a little extreme, but
yeah. That's the thing that worried me about it because I was thinking about getting one of those policies. Is that I realised, hang on a minute, if I make one or two mistakes, like say I go around a roundabout too fast, that is probably grounds for them to put my insurance up by 10 or 20 quid a month.
Also, I'd like to see how it works out, because if you're, let's say, we go to rallies and the national rallies in Scotland, and the parking for them is normally, you go on part of the forest trail, you park at the side, and you walk to the stage, and I'd like to see their inquiry for that sort of thing. It's like, wait a sec, you're in the middle of a forest, how does that work out?
You're in the middle of a forest and you happen to be next to a Scottish Rally Championship stage. What's going on here? And also, I don't really like the fact of. I'm a little bit of a computer geek. I'm not going to hide it. That I've seen a lot of things like. I'm trying to think of the name of. Enemy of the State. If you've seen Enemy of the State, have you seen it? No. Okay. It's basically this guy. There's this guy in it who's like totally paranoid that he's being tracked by the government. And if you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I'm not saying I'm really paranoid, but I don't like the idea of having a GPS tracker in my car. And there's not much to stop the police from. If they want my information, they can start tracking my car. You know what I mean?
Aye.
That just makes me a bit uneasy. There's
it's
nothing.
Also if there's an accident and it's debatable whose fault it is, and let's say it was the other person's fault, they can look at your black box and say, 10 minutes ago you were speeding, sort of thing, but therefore you must have been at fault. And if it's one of those where it's your word against theirs, then that's just screwed over. Yeah.
That is the thing that worries me about it. I don't like the idea that someone is watching me.
Aye. Someone's watching you.
Yeah.
The thing I don't like about it is I work night shifts, and when I'm leaving work, it's 3 in the morning.
Yeah, they wouldn't even cover that.
So they would probably be a bit suspicious as to why,
No, they wouldn't even let you do that.
Because that would be classed as late at night.
Yeah, they don't. Most black box policies, they don't let you drive between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. You can phone up and get exceptions for it. But you're only allowed, I think it's 6 exceptions a year. So obviously, you're working night shift.
That's a week ago.
Yeah, exactly. That's a week. And then even if you have phoned up and got an exception beforehand, they can still put your premium up for it.
I'd also like to say though, the black boxes, if you're using comparison sites, like I was using Go Compare, and the cheapest quote I got was through them for my Clio was 1,100 was a black box. It didn't say that till I looked at the fine print, so we were just the way to sign up for that, and then it's like, wait a second, box, no. And then
exactly. The thing I would say about black box insurance policies is if you're not a big fan of cars, if you're not a big petrol head,
if you're just using it to go to A to B,
and you don't drive that much, maybe 5,000 or 6,000 miles a year, it's the ideal sort of thing for you if you're struggling to get insurance, or if you're a cheapskate like we all are when it comes to insurance. Well, that's
even more so.
That's the thing about insurance, is it's essentially £700 a year for a piece of paper
to say you
and this
drive.
Piece of paper says you may drive. That's all it is. Because I'm sure a lot of people have had experiences with you have a crash and your insurance policy finds out something about the way you've been driving or whatever, and then you're not covered.
Yeah.
And that £700 piece of paper is then worthless. So I mean, that's why we all hate paying for it, because it's not.
The thing is, though, on the flip side, if you do have a problem, it is there. You know, it does help a lot. But
yeah,
on the whole, it's one of those things we don't want to end up having to use it, but it is there.
The ideal phrase for it is it's a necessary evil. That's all it is. You have to pay it legally. You have to pay it. So I'm the sort of person who thinks just pay it. It's much less hassle than. I'm not even going to endorse going into driving around without insurance, because I hate people who do that. I really do, with a passion.
Yeah.
So just buy it, okay? It's much less hassle.
So since we're on insurance, there are certain points where your insurance is instantly invalid, but there's reasons. For example, if you go on a track day and you're using your car, your insurance is invalid. Now, it doesn't. I believe you do not need insurance for a track day.
No, because you're off the public highway.
You're off the public highway. But it is often a case of you settle it if you do end up in an unfortunate situation, which I hope no one does, on a track day where there is contact. You'd settle it out, between yourself, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you do get a track day insurance.
You do get track day insurance, and you can get them. They're between about £50-100 a day, something like that.
But most folk don't bother unless they've taken like a Ferrari or something round.
Yeah, because that is something, if you look at the small print of your insurance policy, something that I find quite funny is it will say explicitly not valid on Nürburgring Nordschleife.
Yeah, that's actually the very first part of mine it says.
I find that absolutely hilarious that they've got to specifically say Nürburgring Nordschleife. They can't just say on track days.
Yeah. Mine says Nuremberg Nordschleife track days, rally events, sprint events, blah blah.
But I mean, that doesn't mean your insurance is invalid if you take it on a track day. It just means your insurance company will not even cover it.
In other words, you can drive to the track, you're valid. On the track, you're not. You drive home, you're valid.
Yeah.
Just to cover that up. This is all for the UK though. So. Yeah.
And I mean, increasingly insurance companies are catching on to accidents that happen right outside the front gate of race tracks. So don't try and pull that one either, because they'll probably realise what you're trying to do. I mean, if you're very unlucky and you haven't even gone to a track day and you've crashed outside Knockhill, you might have a bit of an issue there.
Honestly, I wasn't on track.
Yeah.
Helmet and race suit in the back.
That would be very unfortunate if you're just driving past Knockhill and you have a crash there and you happen to have that in the book. Oh dear.
Anyway, I'd say that concludes this sort of special episode of Blown Turbos on insurance.
Yeah.
So, another episode should be out soon. We're not sure what car. We'll keep you updated. So, if you're not following us on Facebook, there'll be a link somewhere down.
Somewhere around here.
Yeah, somewhere. I don't know. You do it on the screen now with YouTube, not on
you can do it
not the like subscribe or whatever.
If not, then it'll be underneath.
Yeah, somewhere. We've also got Twitter.
It'll be in the dash.
All that. Yeah. So yeah, that.
What you said.
Yeah.